May 12, 1943, North Africa, near Cape Bonn. The sun beats down like a hammer over the Tunisian desert. Dust swirls between columns of exhausted German soldiers, the remnants of the Afrika Korps. Their gray uniforms are caked with sand and sweat. The once proud men of Rommel's army now shuffle forward under the watchful eyes of American MPs armed with M1 Garands. The air smells of diesel, gunpowder, and defeat. Among them marches Lieutenant Karl Hoffmann, a 27-year-old Panzer officer from Hanover. His boots crunch over gravel as he glances back at the burning wreck of his Panzer IV, still smoldering in the heat. Just days ago, he had been fighting under the black palm insignia of the Desert Fox. Now, he's one of 252,000 Axis troops surrendering to the Allies in North Africa. An American sergeant walks past, chewing gum. He tosses a canteen to one of the Germans and says in a flat voice, "Don't worry, fellas, you'll eat better in Texas than you did in Tunis." Hoffmann frowns. Texas. He doesn't understand the words, but he catches the tone. Something casual, almost friendly. The prisoners are herded into trucks, their belts and watches confiscated. The convoy heads toward a makeshift camp near Bizerte, where lines of khaki tents shimmer in the desert haze. There, Hoffmann watches in disbelief as American soldiers unload crates of food. Tins labeled Rommel, sacks of flour, canned peaches and coffee beans are stacked like treasure. The Americans eat from metal trays, meat, bread, vegetables, while German rations, for months, had been little more than hardtack and black tea made from burnt barley. As the sun dips below the dunes, Hoffmann hears the sound of laughter. American troops are grilling something over open fires. The aroma of sizzling meat drifts through the camp, rich, smoky, unbearable to men who haven't seen a proper meal in weeks. For the first time, the young Panzer officer begins to realize the Allies aren't just winning the war with tanks and planes, they're winning it with food. June 2nd, 1943, Port of Oran, Algeria. The docks roar with the sound of cranes and diesel engines. Thousands of captured Axis soldiers, Germans, Italians, and a few Austrians are herded toward the towering gray hull of a Liberty ship. Its name, SS Benjamin Conti, gleams faintly in the Mediterranean sun. Lieutenant Karl Hoffmann clutches his meager belongings, a letter from his mother, a dented lighter, and a small notebook filled with sketches of tanks. Around him, men murmur in low voices. "America," they whisper, unsure if it's a curse or a blessing. Inside the ship, the air smells of salt, oil, and fear. The holds are converted into makeshift barracks, lined with bunks of rough pine and chain link. The Germans expect cruelty, hunger, punishment, humiliation. Instead, they receive stewed beef, white bread, and even cigarettes distributed by an American corporal with a lopsided grin. "You boys behave, you'll get your chow on time. We don't run short out here," the corporal says, tapping the side of his helmet. That night, as the Liberty ship cuts through the Atlantic, Hoffmann stands by a narrow porthole. The horizon glows faintly red where another convoy burns, torpedoed by the U-boat. He feels no triumph, only a strange hollowness. His own navy, the mighty Kriegsmarine, is somewhere beneath those waves, hunting men like him. The Americans, though, seem undisturbed. They hum jazz tunes on the deck, sip coffee from tin mugs, and move with the confidence of a nation untouched by war. Hoffmann watches one sergeant unwrap a small box. Inside, a slice of apple pie preserved in wax paper. The sweet cinnamony smell fills the corridor. The sergeant notices Hoffman's stare and shrugs. "That's homemade," he says, grinning. "My wife sends one every week." Hoffmann forces a smile, but his chest tightens. Back in Germany, his wife Elise stands in line for turnip bread and ersatz coffee. The Reich tells them to tighten their belt. The Americans, it seems, don't even know what hunger means. For 12 long days, the ship sails westward. Every evening, the prisoners are served hot meals, sometimes roast beef, sometimes pork stew, always with butter and white bread. The officers begin to joke darkly that they are better fed as prisoners than as soldiers of the Führer. And when, on the 13th day, the coastline of America appears, flat and endless under the morning sun, even the most hardened among them fall silent. They are about to see a country that fights a world war and still eats like kings. June 15, 1943, Camp Hearn, Texas. The prisoners step off the train into a heat that feels like stepping into an oven. The sky is a blazing white sheet, the air thick with smell of grass and dust. Towers rise in the distance, framed by barbed wire and endless fields. Oberleutnant Karl Hoffmann blinks against the glare. He had imagined America as steel and concrete, a land of factories and smokestacks. Instead, he finds open plains and the sound of cicadas. The Americans heard them through the gate, not with shouts or rifle butts, but with calm, practiced efficiency. A sergeant with a clipboard calls names. Nearby, a cook wheels a cart stacked with loaves of fresh bread. Behind him, another soldier carries boxes labeled "Beef, Grade A." The smell makes the Germans unrestive, even uneasy. This can't be real. By noon, the POWs are marched into the mess hall, a long wooden building with fans humming lazily from the ceiling. Each man receives a tray: steak, mashed potatoes, green beans, and a slice of pie. Real pie! Hoffmann stares at the plate as if it were gold. The camp commander, Colonel Curtis, steps forward. "Gentlemen, you are now prisoners of the United States Army. You will be treated according to the Geneva Convention. Behave and you'll work. Work and you'll eat. Simple as that. No threats, no hatred, just order and abundance." When Hoffmann cuts into the steak, the knife slides through effortlessly. The first bite is almost surreal, tender, salty, smoky. The pie tastes of cinnamon and sugar, the crust flaky and rich. Around him, German officers exchange bewildered looks. One whispers, "My God, this is better than Berlin in 1939. That night in the barracks, the conversations buzz quietly. They talk about the food, about the guards, about the strange luxury of being well fed in captivity. "If this is how America feeds its prisoners," Hoffmann murmurs, "how do they feed their soldiers?" No one answers. The truth is too large to grasp. Outside, the floodlights hum softly. Somewhere beyond the wire, American soldiers finish their own dinners and listen to swing music on the radio. Hoffmann lies awake, staring at the wooden ceiling, realizing that the world he'd believed in, of German superiority, of destiny, is already collapsing under the weight of reality. The enemy is not starving. The enemy is thriving. August 1943, Camp Hearn, Texas. The cicadas hum relentlessly in the late summer heat. Inside the POW compound, rows of German prisoners line up with trays in hand. The menu that day: fried chicken, boiled potatoes, peas, and lemon pie. The kitchen smells like a bakery, and the air shimmers with the scent of butter and smoke. Oberleutnant Karl Hoffmann now wears a faded khaki work shirt with a red PW stencil across the back. He has been here for 2 months, long enough to know the routine: morning roll call, light labor, lunch, rest, then dinner. But something deeper is changing within him. Every meal chips away at the image he once had of America. Back in Germany, the propaganda ministry had painted the United States as decadent, weak, racially divided, a soft nation of shopkeepers and jazz. Yet here he sees strength disguised as ease, precision wrapped in abundance. One afternoon, while stacking lumber under a Texas sun, Hoffmann glances across the barbed wire at a convoy of American trucks rolling past the camp. Each one carries food supplies, sacks of flour, barrels of meat.